and welcome back, everybody. It is another Friday night. How's everybody doing? Let me see if I can turn that down just a little bit. Don't want that music just blaring everybody out. So I've got so many, I call them accessories. Other people call them toys for my cameras. And I kind of wanted to share with you guys tonight on some of these really cool things and how they make your life easier, right? So, as everybody knows, I shoot with my little M6 Mark II, and normally I have two of them up here, but I wanted to show it to you because, okay, I'm wondering, oh, there we are. Okay. Hey, Lewis, how you doing, buddy? I was just wondering if I was enlisted again. Lewis says, hey, everyone. So thank you very much, because I'm like, oh, maybe we're enlisted. So anyway, I have so many toys, and I just kind of, I call them accessories. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys, because they're really, I think they're kind of cool, right? And some of you guys are veteran photographers and you probably have all this stuff. And some of you are new to the trade. So maybe you don't have all this stuff and you haven't seen it before. But as everybody knows, I shoot with my little M6 Mark II. And it's got the Sennheiser, I think it's the MK200, the little bitty microphone on it. And it sounds really good. A lot of the time, though, I usually use my wireless lav, the Deity, and the receiver just goes in the same place. So one of the things, because the M6 Mark II has a hot shoe, but it also has a flip up screen, which I dearly love, okay? But if you can't put anything right there because you can't see it, right? So you can use the screen like at half mast and stuff if you're behind it. But so you have to have these adapters to put microphones and lights or whatever. So this is actually a small rig that is made for the M6 Mark II. But I found a universal. Now y'all know I love Ulanzi, right? And I found a universal made by Ulanzi. And it says it's a triple. But honestly, if your camera's sitting here, how are you going to use this one? So I'm just going to say it's a double, okay? But it will mount to the bottom of your camera, and it's adjustable, so a little bit. It will also mount if you do have one of these small rig things. Look at all these over here. Look at all these holes that it has. So you can mount that if you need something over here and something over here. Now, the small rig actually has one cold shoe here and one cold shoe right here. So you actually have two. So if you're filming and it gets dark and you need a light, well, have I got lights? Okay. This is what I started with. These are ginormous. Okay. They're battery operated, and the battery does last a good long time, and they're very, very bright. And they come with these cute little cards that have different colors, and you can change the colors on them and all that good stuff. But they're big. So I found these little lights, which are just as bright. They put off just as much light as the big one. They, too, have an internal battery that you don't have to recharge. It has a, if you can see that. Well, let's turn it right side up. Right here, it has a little USB-C adapter, so you just charge it in, plug it up, charge it up. They come in two different, this is just the white. That's all it does is white. It does 4 different levels of white. I don't know if this is going to work, so we'll try this. But I think it'll blow the camera out if I aim it right at it. But this is low. And then as you graduate up, it gets stupid bright, right? Or you can take it right back down to low. You're supposed to be able to take it right back. Oh, there you go. Okay. But that's all it does is white. Okay. Now, sometimes that's all you need, right? But lately, I have been watching a lot of YouTubers who have been, for effect, have been casting different lights on themselves. And this is the same light, but with the RGB capabilities, right? So it does the same thing. It still lights up, and it has the different levels. It has the different kelvins, so you can make it like I think that might be a little too bright. So there was my thought process. This is what I was thinking. If you're around a campfire and you're wanting to film something at night and you want that fire kind of flickering on your face, doesn't that make it look like I'm sitting in front of a campfire? Kind of that warm orangey glow. I'm going to try it this summer. But it also, if you want to get spooky, you can put it on red. Red. It doesn't show up on there red, but it is very red. So if I turned off all the lights in here and only had this on, it would give a very eerie effect. Or, where's my thing? The cops are here, right? You can make it look like the cop cars are outside. They're really not, but it's a function of the light. It's just some fun things, right? Let's try and turn that off. And these are not expensive. They're like 20, I think the white one I want to say is like $23, and the RGB is like 30, but they have coupons all the time. So under $30, right? Which I think is really cool. Let's see who has crept in here. Uncle G, happy Friday, everyone. Hey, Uncle G. Sorry to take you away from your game, buddy. I hope y'all won. And there's Jim. Hi, Jim. Hi, Sly. Happy Friday. It is a happy Friday. I had to work an extra day this week, so I've been kind of running around today trying to get everything ready and get all my chores done and all of that good stuff. So, and Peter's here. Friday with Sly. Here's to a great show. Thank you, Peter. Your show went off flawlessly as always, even though you had a camera that I beat you to that. I had one that did that several weeks ago, so no worries. And Peter says, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Well, as you don't, these really, Peter, are more for if you're out and about. The lights kind of out in the dark, although I do have something that you might need since you have repositioned yourself to a chair. So I tried to show this to you guys a couple weeks ago. This is the Ulanzi low profile microphone arm, okay? And I absolutely love this thing. So it does have the padding on the bottom and the top, but this thing and you can position this thing wherever you want it. You just put it on the desk. It's very, very low. It would be perfect for some gamers that I know. I'm going to up my son's audio quality yet. I haven't heard him, so I don't know that his audio is bad, but mom's got to play. So, I'm going to, I've got an extra interface. I've got extra microphones, and I'm going to set him up right? And there's Subcultured Outcast. I'm so happy you're here tonight. I think I missed you last week. I think. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But if you are new to photography, new to videography, especially if you go out at night, these little lights are invaluable. Now, I do have some others. I have, I think they're made by Lytra, I want to say. They're little bitty cube lights, and they put off light, but it's not like these. These work so much better. So the Lytras are a little bit smaller and they're heavier, and so I'm all about small is good, but I'm all about light, because by the time you add now this microphone is just a little bit heavier than the receiver of the Deity, but it's not a heavy mic. And then you add a light on the bottom, it starts getting a little bit of weight to it. It's not horrible. And my tripod of choice, now, when you have the mic and the light, this does not fit on the gimbal. Okay. So for nighttime stuff, I use this cute little Manfrotto Pixie, Pixi tripod. And you can set it down when you need to, but it folds up, it fits really well on my hand, and it's just perfect for vlogging. So I actually have, I think, 4 of these, because I have one in every backpack, right? I don't want to lose them. But they're amazing. They are just absolutely amazing. Peter says, are both those lights on Amazon? They are. Link is in the description below. And Peter says, hi, subby. Don't you even start. Okay. I will call him subcultured outcast. Thank you very much. I may slip, sorry. But yeah, that's just, Ulanzi makes really good products. And this thing, so on all of my cameras, and I think the Sony included, I have small rig that are adapters that are specifically for that camera, but this would adapt to any camera. That's kind of why I like it. My G7X, I have one, and I believe it only has one. I'm trying to look at it. I think it only has one spot. The G7X Mark III does not have a hot shoe at all. So, but I've got the small rig thing on it, and it just has the one. So if I put this on the other side, then I have, oops, sorry. No, that's right. Yeah, then I have 3. I have one on the small rig and then 2 here. So that thing, and I think these are like, I want to say these are less than 25 also. But these are just fantastic. I can't say enough good things by Ulanzi, and no, I am not sponsored in any way. My favorite tripod is the ESDDI, and I think I have 4 of those. And the reason, if I find something I like, I usually buy in quantities. But with the tripods, if they all match, the heads are interchangeable. So if you take one camera off and want to put it on a different tripod, guess what? It fits, because the adapter, which I don't even know what I did with it. I put it back on the tripod. But the adapter fits in all of them because they're all the same tripod, right? And those things normally run about $70, and you can catch them on sale for half price. So every time I see them on sale, I pick one up. And there's Carlos. Is that a real candle behind you, Sly? Candles are cool. It is a real candle. And I know you guys can't smell it, but it makes my room smell nice. Okay. So I usually have a candle going. My daughter tries to, Christmas time, she buys 2 or 3 different, I think she bought 2 this year. Last year she bought me a great big one. But she tries to candle me up for the year. And so yeah, I like, that one is just about bit the dust. So this will probably be the last week for that one. But I've got another one, different flavor, but it smells equally good too. So yes, it is a real candle. And no, I won't burn my house down. I do always, when I leave this room, I turn all the lights out, make sure all this stuff is off. And I have caught that before, that was still burning. So I have some battery operated stuff. The sign is battery. This light is battery. Not the moon, but the light. So I have to make sure that I turn all that off, or of course the batteries would die, right? Everything else is pretty much electric. So it's just a couple of things. But yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, anybody have any questions on any of that stuff? This little Sennheiser mic, I think it is, I want to say it's around $70. And I like it. It does make it a little more, there, Now you can see it a little better. It does make it, I really should not wear a black shirt. It just dawned on me. My chair is black, and yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. But honestly, I raced home. I set this up and haven't been home, but I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes. But this thing has a locking, cord on it. Okay. Now, if you've been around me very long, I have a tendency not to plug things in all the way, or the plug falls out. We're going to say there's little pixies involved. Okay. But I just did a video with my son, and we didn't have any audio. So he's going to have to do a voiceover on pretty much the whole video. Some of it I'm going to fast forward through. It's like, I think 10 and a half hours that I'm going to condense down to 6 or 7 minutes. So we're going to do a lot of fast forwarding. I'll put music to that. But for the spoken part, he's going to have to redo it, because either I didn't plug the mic thing in good to the camera, or I had the camera set wrong, or I'm sure it was my fault. Yeah. So, but that's twice now that I've had issues with that particular microphone. So it may not get used again. It may go on Facebook Marketplace. So how's the mic sounding, Sly? How is it sounding? So I tried a couple of different things this week. I love playing with mics and interfaces and what have you. So I got I think I'm on a new interface. I don't know if I was on this one last week or not, honestly. Yeah, I think I was. I got a couple of new mics, but honestly, when I tested them, I think there's 3 of them that I tested. The 4th one's going back because it sounds like horrible. But anyway, they all sound the same, right? So I wish I had it out. I don't know what I did with it. I don't know where I put it. But there's one microphone that by the time you put all the discounts on Amazon in there, it ended up being like $13. And it sounds as good as this microphone. But I don't know what I did with it. Oh, it's so big I can't see it. Okay. So this is a huge microphone. This thing was, after the discounts and the rebates and everything, it was like $13, right? It's made by Donner. And it's an amazing, it sounds as good as this microphone, which is a Fifine. Yeah, Carlos said he used a Fifine, so I got a Fifine. But the AT2040, the Donner, and the Fifine all sound exactly the same. So, I even closed my eyes and tried to figure out which one was which, and they sound so similar. It's a toss of the coin. Yeah, doesn't matter. So, Peter says, that's what happened with my Sony tonight. I didn't push the USB-C in all the way and the battery conked out. Yes, if you remember, I believe it was the Canon. The Canon, you cannot put a dummy battery in. So you have to actually put the USB-C charger thing in it. Which one is it? Is it this one? I believe it is. This camera right here. You can't put a dummy battery in this camera. So you have to put the USB thing to plug in like you're charging the battery. It just takes the regular battery. But if you don't have that pushed in all the way, you won't know it because it works until it doesn't. And that happened one night. I didn't have it plugged in all the way. And the battery lasts for, I don't know, almost an hour, and then goes kaput, and the camera shuts off midstream. And what are you going to do? It's all good. Peter, you recovered very well. Very well. That's a Grant-sized mic, right? Yeah, this thing is huge. It's not really heavy. I have it on a really heavy stand, but the microphone itself, probably weight-wise, it is very long-winded as far as trying to get it off of there, which is probably good. It's not going to just fall off, right? But the weight, and somewhere around here I've got the AT2040. So comparing these two, actually it plugs in down here. So yeah, that's ridiculous, right? But they look very similar on the ends, right? And comparing the weight-wise, these two are about the same weight. So it's not the heaviest of microphones. It's nothing like the pod mic, which, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, I got the pod mic working. I still don't like the way it sounds on my voice, but I did get it working. I don't think it sounds as good as these. And like I said, all three of these sound exactly alike. So the pod mic, it's like it doesn't have enough bass. It's like it's an octave higher than what these three are. So, yeah, I probably won't use it. And actually, the pod mic would not be bad for Grant. That might be a good, because it's pretty small. It's heavier than I'll get out, but it's pretty small. And he's just going to be sitting it on his desk, right? So I don't know. Right now, he wears, he has a set of Corsair headphones with the mic that comes out on one side. I don't know which way it comes out. And I have the same headphones just because if he says they're good, they're good. And so that's what I use for my headphones. I don't use the mic part because I don't game. And he's very, very used to having that mic come and be right at his face. So I don't know if he would get used to a desk mic. But, you know, I'm going to have to play and just introduce him to some of life's niceties, right? Now, a lot of his gaming buddies use desktop mics. They all use USB mics, which is very interesting. And I am getting better at fine-tuning things, I think, but I still cannot get that Samsung to sound good as an XLR microphone. So it's just going to be a USB mic, and that's fine. You know, if something happens to my interface or whatever, I have a backup. So I'm good with that. Carlos says, are you using the Fifine K? Yes, I am. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you said you had one, and it sounded pretty good. So yes, they went on sale, and you know how I am about sales. Cha-ching! Charge it. No, I didn't charge it, but I remember that my mother, we would go shopping and she would do that. She would go, charge it! And yeah. But when you have to buy clothes and shoes and, you know, all the essentials for 3 children, you do kind of have to budget what you do. So it's just me. My children are self-sufficient, so I get to spend money on toys, right? But yeah, how do you think this sounds? This is the Fifine K688, I think. Pretty sure. I know it is. Okay. I was looking for the box, but I came in and I've been racing around most of the day. I did have to work an extra day this week, so today was all about getting errands run and what have you. And so I rushed in and I'm like, oh, I got to clean my desk. And so I did. I got everything cleaned off, got all the boxes. You know, it's a good thing that I don't have a full room view because, yeah, sorry. I have some boxes that need to be hauled off. And I got a H&A, don't remember the number, and I cannot get it to work either. So it's having to go back. But Adorama had something. and now I can't remember what it was, but they had something I was gonna. Oh yeah. So Carlos, I got the PGYTech mic booster, and they make a double. And because I like to switch back and forth on microphones a lot, which I've been having a blast doing this and trying to learn. I have watched video after video after video about what compression means and limiting and all this other stuff. And so I'm soaking it all in like a sponge and probably retaining about 10% of what I'm hearing, right? The older you get, the harder it is to learn new things. And but I've been really, really trying to figure out what all this stuff means, because they tell you just look at your lights and your meters and kind of go by that, and that's fine. But what the equalizer, yeah, you can go up and down with your decibels, but what do you when you move the frequencies, And so to me, it's just fascinating, and I've been having a blast. But I do like to do maybe 2 microphones side by side. I am going to make a video on it because I have so many now. And so at a RAM, I had the PGYTech for the 2 mics. Like the Cloud Lifter has a single and a double. Well, the PGYTech makes a double. So I am going to pick one of those up. Not that I've noticed that it helps tremendously. This particular mic without the booster, I set it like 9.5, and with the booster, I've set it at 9. So it doesn't really help tremendously. But you guys tell me, are you hearing any hiss? Because I do have it turned up to 9. So I don't think there's a hiss, but and I also learned something else, that my Mac Mini, the speakers on it introduce a hiss when I'm listening. So if I make a test live stream and then listen to it on the big computer, the hiss goes away. So some of it is the speakers. So I'll probably have to replace those next. But I did get some good news this week. So I was watching one of my finance guys on YouTube earlier, like in December, and he was saying the tax things had changed, and if you made this much money, you were going to owe this much money, and so I was freaking out. Okay, and I've been kind of setting some money back for the last 3 months in preparation to pay my taxes. Right? He was wrong. Okay, and I ended up getting back just a little bit, not a lot, but as long as if I get back $1, as long as I don't owe them money, I'm happy. Okay, I don't care. I'm not looking for a big refund. I just don't want to owe them anything. So I did get some good news. I don't owe anything, and I'm getting back just a wee little bit. Now I do owe state, but I'm getting enough back from federal to pay state. So I'm happy. Yes, it all worked out. So I'm so glad when the bearer of bad news is wrong, So Peter, where are you going to go tomorrow? Are you going to just, I would not look at it as a negative. I would think, okay, I get to go to dinner with my brother, right? I know you're going to be on pins and needles the whole time, but try that Golden Delicious Corral. That's what we call it here. They actually have a really good buffet, and they're not horribly expensive either. So you might give that a whirl. But yeah, if you need to talk to anybody, just call me and I'll talk to you for a couple hours. Actually, I think I'm playing cards tomorrow night, but I would talk to you. But guys, does anybody have any questions about any of this? I'm sure I have more. Oh, I forgot to show you this one. Carlos, you might like this one. So Grant and I went to Turner Falls last year, and we're planning to go somewhere this year, right? That was a kind of a birthday celebration. So I told him I want to do another overnight trip. we're not sure where we're going. It'll be somewhere local because we only want to spend one day. But this little thing right here goes, which way does it go? Goes this way. But it hooks onto the strap on your camera backpack, right? And then you can put your camera here. Now I have adapters. It's got an action camera mount right there. But I have adapters to where it'll fit into the bottom of my camera and then attach to the action camera mount. And so this thing would sit, if this is strapped on you, this thing would sit like this. Well, I guess it would be like that. And so you can walk. Now, it probably would be a little bit shaky, and I probably would not use the M6. I probably would use the G7X just because it's smaller and a little bit lighter. Or I may use the Osmo Action. But when you're wearing a camera, you don't think about the camera, right? It's just there. And so you get a lot of and this is by PGYTech, but you get a lot of really cool footage that you probably wouldn't get otherwise because the camera's just on you and you're just wearing it, walking around, and you're not thinking about what you're doing. So this is really well made. This back part is rubber. So the inside, it's got kind of a, I don't know if you can see that, kind of a ridged, where it'll hold the strap really well. This is rubber, so it doesn't move. And then it's probably an aluminum or a pot metal or something. But for holding a camera, it's fine. And it's got adjustments on it. So if you had a wider strap, but I'm going to strap up Uncle G and let him wear a camera all day and just see he's much more adventurous and he's much more agile and he's much more, he can climb rocks and cliffs and yeah, I'll film. Peter says, I'm going to walk on the street until my brother gets here from the south of Miami. You're going to become a streetwalker. I knew this day would come. Let me know if you make any money at it. That's a cool mount. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, it is kind of a cool mount. I kind of forgot about it, but I have got so many. I love toys, right? And I've got so many techie toys. It comes in this cool little foam thing, and I just keep it in my backpack like that because I don't know. I'm kind of OCD about my stuff, and when it stops looking new. Now, I say that, but there are some things, like my Bible, does not look new, nor do I want it to. It's an old friend. So, but my tech gear and stuff, when it stops looking new, it's time to replace it, right? So, but yeah, I mean, all this stuff is, but Peter, this is what you need. You need one of these. You can set it over by your chair, put your microphone on here so you're not having to hold it. So that is so cool that Randy blessed you with that lens, okay? Because it is a really good lens. So, yeah, you've got it set up really well. You're the master. What can I say? And Peter's laughing. Yeah, I know. Right, you're laughing at me, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Carla says, Sly and her gadgets. Some people have cats. I have gadgets. I don't have to feed them, But, yeah, I do. I like toys, and I especially, I find that I'm in a much better mood when I'm learning something new, right? So, like, work is very repetitious, okay? When I first started and it was new and I was learning something all the time, I loved it. And then when it becomes repetitious, it's like, okay, I just go through the motions, So learning about this microphone stuff, I probably drive everybody crazy, and I know that. But I have been having the most fun, and I just sit here and I realize, hey, I'm in a really good mood, right? And it is not candy induced or whatever they call that. What do they call that? THC induced. It's because I'm learning something new, right? So I have made some big, like, faux pas, right? Thankfully, they haven't been public. But I still don't have any way to monitor. I can monitor the sound out of the interface, but I don't have any way to monitor the sound out of the ATEM. And that's where the equalizer and everything is. So I have to make like a unlisted live, just like a minute or two to see how it sounds. And some of them have been way more than a minute or two when I've been testing out. Like at one point, I think I had 4 microphones on the desk, and I'm having to equalize all of them and test all of them. And so some of them have been a little bit longer than a minute, but in the one I did, between these 3 mics, trying to figure out which mic actually sounded the best, I could not tell the difference. And had I not said, this is the Fifine, this is the AT, this is, I would not have known which was which. So, and I had my headphones on. So they're really, really close. They're probably all using the same capsule, right? Just different body styles. So, but this one is really kind of cool looking, right? I don't know. It's kind of low profile, whereas this one is much more in your face. I mean, that's a big microphone. And if you set it on the stand, well, I guess it doesn't really come up any bigger, but yeah, that thing's a beast. It also has a high pass filter on it, which I find works really well. I don't have an interface that has a de-esser on it, so that high pass filter takes some of that mush mouth out of my vocal. Peter says, I can almost feel Carlos's fingers typing. I think Carlos likes his gadgets too, right? That just seems to be, I think that's one of the draws of doing this. Number one, I like cameras. I always have. And I find though that I have really, really, really switched from pictures to video. And I'm a little disheartened by that because I have thousands of pictures of my kids. And this is back in the day when, you'd get 12 or 24 shots on a roll, and you might get 2 or 3 that were keepers, right? But you're paying for all of them because you don't know what they are until you get the film back and you're having to look through the pictures. I actually have a couple of pictures that to this day, I would put in a contest because they're that good. But those were rare. Those were very rare that you got those candid shots where the kid was just sitting just right, and you just happened to click the shutter at just the right moment. And so I find that taking video where it's great and you can hear their voice, and I do miss hearing my kids are grown now, so I do miss hearing their little toddler voices. I don't have very many pictures of my grandson. I have tons and tons of videos, but I don't have very many pictures. And so that's kind of a sad thing that we have evolved into the video era. I did want to ask you guys, because you guys do know about this stuff. I have a VHS tape of my son when he was 3. And I want to put that on, I think it's like his birth through 3 years old, but I want to put that on something that I can watch it on now. And I know there are people that do that, but how do I find them? Because, I don't know. I just want to compare him at 3 to my grandson who's 3, right? And just, I mean, I know it's his nephew, but I just want to, because I think my grandson looks a lot like me, but height-wise and size-wise, they are mirroring each other. So I just want to see how I don't remember how he moved at 3, and that was on an old, I think it was an 8mm, if I'm remembering right. I think it was 8mm. It may have been one of those handy cam things. I mean, you figure this was like 27 years ago. So, you know, a little bit of time has gone by. I feel better. Peter says, I feel better when I'm learning something. There's a Carlos show coming up, right? Carlos says, Peter knows me all too well, but I really did try to type gently. Hey guys, I know I'm a gadget holic. Yes. But you know, I do like my toys, and I do want to start, Grant and I are going to start kayaking. The weather here has been beautiful this week. In fact, it's almost, I have this thing about turning my AC on before June, but it's almost warm enough. It got to like 80 degrees today. So, yeah, we're just almost there. I will put up with a little bit of sweltering for a day or two, and if it stays hot, then I'll probably break down and go ahead and turn the air on. But it was so cold for so long that I'm kind of enjoying the heat, right? I almost thought about putting on a hoodie today just for old time's sake, but it's way too hot. So, and I honestly, I did not have time to think about what I was wearing. This is actually, I don't know if Charles is here or not, but this is actually a Disney Villains t-shirt. It's got like Ursula and the bad queen, you know, I don't know. So it's kind of a fun t-shirt, but I really didn't think about what I was wearing. I just came in and I turned Peter on, and I was listening to him in the car, and got everything hooked up. And Scott had said, I think last week, that the computer was too loud. So I made sure it was off. So nobody has said anything about the sound. So if the sound doesn't sound good, y'all need to let me know, because from this side, it looks like everything's fine. Peter says, VHS to digital conversion. Google it. You'll get a ton. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that was really a thing until someone at work mentioned it. And she has kept an old VHS player because she has a tape of her children. I don't have a VHS player anymore. If I remember right, they ran on rubber bands and the rubber band broke or something. So when it broke, we just went to CDs and now Blu-ray. So Carlos says, I'm going to start a 12-step support group for Gadgetholic Anonymous, right? I believe it's called GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome. Someone has already coined a phrase for my affliction. And it's just fun. I did, you know, one of the things I was watching a video on the interface that I got. I didn't know it had plastic on the top. I mean, you're supposed to peel that plastic off because, you know, everybody was talking about how it gets fingerprints and it looks really bad. And I'm thinking, mine didn't get fingerprints. I touch it all the time. I don't have any fingerprints. I didn't take the plastic off. Yeah. So it's no wonder everybody thinks my stuff's new, because I don't take the plastic off. It wasn't on purpose. I didn't know it had plastic on it. And then once I saw that, and I'm thinking, well, mine didn't come with plastic. I got to looking and I'm like, yeah, it did. Yeah. So right now I'm using an M Audio 192.8, and I like it. I mean, it's fine. It works fine. But the knobs, which I thought were rheostats, and somebody told me they were potentiometers, are they have a personality. Okay. You just barely touch it, and it goes from being nowhere near enough to completely off the charts. So you have to be you have to have that special touch to get it just right. And then once it is, don't touch it. So, but thankfully, where it's set works for all 3 different microphones the same. So you don't have to adjust anything there. Now on the ATEM software, the 3 microphones don't come in the same. So don't ask me. At one point, I really felt like I was chasing my tail, and I was just going to say to heck with it all and go with the USB mic. But after I kept playing with it, I actually got these to sound better than the USB. And last week, that was not the case. So I am learning. I am take baby steps, but I am getting up there. But yes, Carlos, I would, I don't know if I would. I've never been a drinker, so I don't know if people who drink feel this way, but I'm happy when I get a new package and it's got a new gadget or something in it. Several years ago, I went through a really bad depression when my kids first left, the empty nest syndrome thing. It took me a couple of years to get out of that. But there was a place called Sierra Trading Post, and they would have like name brand clothes and stuff for a fraction of the price. And they had anything to do with like housewares or clothing, shoes, sleeping bags, stuff for dogs, just, a little bit of everything. And once a month, I would order a fairly good size order, $60 to $100, right? And so I would get, but it would take 7 to 9 days to get here, okay? By the time it got here, I had forgotten all about it. And it would come in this really big box, and it would have all this stuff in it. And so like once a month, it was like Christmas, right? And it made me feel just a little bit better. I don't know why. Getting new stuff always makes you feel a little bit better. But, and so it helped. But what finally got me out of that was, I finally just, I was happy before I had children, and I had to find that person again, right? So I had been a mom for so long that I couldn't function anymore not being a mom, and I didn't have anyone to mom, right? My kids had grown up and left, and so they weren't in my daily life anymore. So I had to just figure out who the person I was before I had children, and find her again, and that's how I got out. But it took me a couple of years to figure that out. So, I've always had a really positive attitude, but getting new gear, whether it's a new shirt or whether it's a new microphone, it just kind of lifts your mood. And I have found that I do love to learn something new, and that is like my drug of choice. Okay. Education, learning something new. And I am totally addicted. And so this week, this month, whatever, I am learning about sound and audio and how to make it sound better. And I'm having a blast doing it. I just sit here and it dawns on me, I'm so happy, So unless somebody is infusing something in my vents that I don't know about, yeah, it's because I'm learning. Gas is just a nice way to minimize and describe the problem we really have. It goes much deeper. Yes, I'm sure it does. But I'm okay with that. If one of the boys at work, who's like 19 years old, I was trying to tell him, if you would save a little bit of money starting now, that when you get to be my age, you'd be a millionaire, right? And I can't remember how much it was, but it was not a lot of money. It was like $20 a week or something. You know, by the time you're 50, you're a millionaire, right? Well, every time he gets a bonus or something, he goes out and buys toys. Okay. And so he's always broke. And now I do put money in savings. Okay. But I do like to treat myself. And, you know, I was talking to my son today because I guess there's a philosophy going around that if something costs less than half your rent, you shouldn't have to think twice about buying it. Okay. I like that, but my threshold is a little bit lower than that. My comfort zone is a little bit lower than what half of rent would be. Now, my house is paid for, so I don't pay rent, but for what my son pays in rent, my threshold is a little bit lower than half. If it's lower than that, I don't even think about it. If it's over that, I might wait a couple of paychecks before I jump into it, you know? So, everybody's threshold is different, but yeah, I don't know what it means when, I don't know. Does that mean my mother was mean to me? I'm not sure. I buy stuff because my mother was mean to me. I don't know. I'm just teasing you, Carlos. Peter says, drug of choice, education, bumper stickers for sale. Right? Yeah, that would be great. I should do that. I should make a bumper sticker with my little fox and say, drug of choice, education. That would actually be kind of cool. Carlos says, on a serious note, okay, I'll be serious. Some people actually do struggle with the shopping addiction. Oh, yeah. Well, we call it retail therapy. And you're absolutely right. If I am feeling underappreciated, I will go shopping, right? It just seems to boost my morale for the day. There's a 12-step... Oh, where'd you go? Put you back up here. There's a 12-step group for that. It's only a problem when we establish a reward pathway that becomes compulsive. Well, I don't think I'm there. Could be. I don't know. I will have to give that one some thought, Carlos. I don't know. Because I do know that I do use retail therapy when I'm feeling underappreciated or and usually by my children, by those closest to me, right? I will hit Ross. I love Ross Dress for Less, right? And I don't know. It's just a lot of times now I buy stuff for the baby, which I have been cut off a couple of times from doing. She said his closet is getting too full. But, if you can't buy toys and have a good time, what's the point of working, right? To leave all my money to my kids? Yeah, no. Sorry, that's not probably going to happen. You're going to get whatever's left anyway, but I'm going to have a good time while I'm here, right? But thank you, Carlos. Yes. I don't see people going into ruin from shopping. I'm sure they do. Around here, a lot of people, we have several casinos, and a lot around here, people will spend their very last dime at the casino. And that hurts my heart. When I know somebody is living on Social Security and they're trying to win an extra $200, and they end up losing their entire check for the month, that hurts my heart, right? That's a problem, okay? And, I've always told my kids, if you can your money is your money. If you can afford it and your bills are paid and you're not asking me for money, buy whatever you want. Be happy, you know. My son right now is trying to make his Mustang sound drag strip worthy, right? And he is having a blast learning how to mechanic. Okay. Now I don't think he's going to try to do the exhaust system himself because it has to be welded on, but he is having a blast learning all the components and what it takes for an exhaust kit to get the sound that he wants. And so I think he is motivated like I am about learning. Learning just brings us pleasure, right? And I took a new job about a little over a year ago. And at first I loved it because it was something, I was learning something new every week. And so as long as I'm learning, I seem to be happy, right? It's just one of those minds. Is there a group for that? You don't have to learn something all the time to be happy. I don't know. It just seems like, when I'm learning, I'm happy. I think what you're talking about is healthy avoidance, like healthy avoidance. Not sure. Oh yeah. Carlos says gambling addiction is one of the most difficult to break. Yeah, it just really, and you can see the people that, the desperation, you know, and I don't know, there has to be an easier way. If they need to come up with money, there has to be, you know, I understand Social Security does not pay very much. So I get that. And I've been a single mom that, you know, but anytime we needed extra money, I just picked up another job. And, so I don't know. I do go to the casino some, you know, that's kind of one of the Oklahoma pastimes. And, you know, and it is kind of fun, especially when you're winning. It's kind of fun. More often than not, I just donate, right? That's what we call it. You get to go in and play some games for a few hours and make a donation and then you leave, you know. Have you priced the cost of a movie theater lately? You know, it's $50 for two people to go to the movies and get popcorn and a soda and, you know, enjoy a movie. You might get to play for 2 hours at the casino on $50. But it's not, you know, I go with friends. So yeah, the casino does not make me happy. Even when I win, and I've won some pretty good pots, but even when I win, it doesn't give me the joy of gear, right? And figuring out how everything works. And, you know, when I got this little, none of this stuff is expensive, okay? When I got this little clip thingy, man, I was just thinking about all the avenues that this would open up and all the footage that I would get. Because if you don't realize you're wearing a camera, you're much more relaxed and your inhibitions go down. You stick a camera in somebody's face and all of a sudden they either act like they either try to perform or they get very shy, right? But if you're just got this on them and they're just walking around, they forget they're wearing it. And so they'll say things and you'll get a lot more than you would if they realize that you're filming them, right? So Carlos says, that's it, Sly. Buying to feel better is okay when it's done responsibly. You're not addicted. You just get a nice dopamine hit when you're with your gadgets, right? Yeah, that's probably it. Do they bottle dopamine? I mean, I don't know. I did a job for a what do they call it? A grow, and huge, ginormous building, right? And I'm putting in a couple of bathrooms for them, and so I'm working there all day, and everything didn't go right, but all day I had this euphoria, right? And so I asked my son, is it possible to get high just from the air, just from being in the place? And And he started laughing. Everybody there was just as nice as they could be. There was not one person in a bad mood. There was not anybody, arguing or fighting or anything. So much different than the retail environment, right? And he said it probably was not from the exposure, because I wasn't anywhere around the product, but it was just, that was one of the best days I've had. And like I said, not everything went right, but it was like, oh, well, just back up and fix it and move on, And so, and that, but that wasn't about, that could have been about feeling needed, maybe. They were very, very complimentary about the work that I did and everything. So, that could have been feeding some of that. But yeah, the gear thing is just when I find something new, because like I said, I use these for a while. I think I have 2 or 3 of them, and they're really bright. What I end up using these for now is if I have to work under my desk or something, I'll put one of these under there, and it's really, really bright. I took 2 of them when we worked on the car, and we put them under the car to light up underneath. They're just really handy to have because they're battery operated. You don't have to plug them in. But as far as for filming, I bought these back when I had the 80 and 90D, and with those big cameras, these don't look as big. They're still big, but they don't look as big. But by the time you get the big camera and the big light, and yeah, I have streamlined down. And so if I was going to start over, I wouldn't even buy just the white. The white one doesn't have, see if you can see that. It doesn't have, like the RGB one has the color on the back. And I would just buy the RGB. I think it's like $5 or $6 more than the white one, but it does everything the white one does. You just have to cycle through some different things, whereas the white one is just, it's on or off, and it's low, medium, or high, right? I think it has 4 settings, so low, medium, high, high. And then, but this one does colors. And so I'm super, super excited to go out and do the campfire shoot. Grant and I are going to go kayaking down a river. I'm thinking we're going to go with some other people and spend the night. Yes, I'm going to spend the night under the stars, I think. I'm kind of excited, kind of trepidatious about it. But, and I will have all of this in a dry bag. Okay. Because, I do tend to capsize quite frequently. But when I find something new like this, and the reason I like this one so much is you can take it from camera to camera, right? So the rest of them are made for the camera they're on. So the G7X Mark III has one that's made for that camera. The M6s, these are made for this camera, which I don't really know why, because there's nothing to them. But they do have the little cutout for the lens or what have you. And then the Sony, I got that from John, and it came with that small rig cage on it. So, but this thing will fit anything, as long as it's got a tripod mount on the bottom, and you can still put it on a tripod, because this has 2, has one here and one here. So that was I was real excited about that find, and they wasn't expensive. And then this little arm here, I probably will get like an overhead, so the mic is up here. But man, I just really like these things, and they are not expensive. So, and they're, you can set them at the back of your desk and come across, or just wherever. So that's kind of my find for the week. My find for the week. Honestly, this mic, which it's a Donner. I think it's the PO8. sounds every bit as good as this mic. And this thing, now that Amazon was running a lightning deal or whatever, this thing was $13. And it sounds as good as this one. So, the AT2040 was on sale. I think it and the Fafine were the same price. But that Donner for $13, that thing's it actually sounds pretty good. So, but I think that's it, guys. I think that's all the toys I have out this week. I'm sure I have a plethora of other stuff, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to share with you and see what you guys thought. And okay, there's John. Okay, I put small rig cages on all my cameras. It's super versatile. I have all the mounts. Yes, so that is a small rig too. That's what the rest of my cameras are, but that's like a full cage, and they don't make that for the M6. So for the M6, it's just this little piece that comes out here, and it just gives you two extra cold shoes. Now, when you put the mic on, you put the light on, you know, you've lost the element of surprise. But I guess when you're holding a camera in front of you, people know what you're doing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Subcultured Outcast says, fine. Yeah, I know. I love this name. Fine. It just, who came up with that? That was like, somebody stuttered and went, oh, what do you want to name it? And that's what they named it. Fine. The Fine for the week. Yes. Honestly, the find for the week was that little Donner. It's not little, but if you can catch a lightning deal on Amazon for $13, that's a find, right? And it was just I didn't have a silver, so I just thought it was kind of cool. But anyway, Peter's ready for bed. I think it's 12:30 on the East Coast, so I'm gonna go eat something myself and kind of try to wind down. I've kind of got a busy day tomorrow too, so I hope you all have a wonderful week. Peter, I will say a prayer for you tonight, and I'll be thinking about you. Yeah, I'm sorry you're having to go through this. It'll be all right. And Peter's saying good night. And Subculture says, do you know small rig makes a light? No, I did not know that. I have the Ulanzi and the Lytra. And then this is the ESDDI that my tripods are. And my big lights are ESDDI. So I really, if I find a company I like and they make good products, I do tend to stick with them. So I will look into the small rig light. I will see what that comes. Carlos says, Sly, I found a battery kit for my M6s. Really? That would be really handy because I'm getting not quite an hour, I think, out of these. It was really, we missed some of the Christmas footage because the camera shut off. But I think I hadn't had them very long or something when I did Christmas. But yeah, so I had to piece things together to make a Christmas video, but it turned out okay. So, but yeah, send me the link, slyreader@mail.com. I keep meaning to put that in the description and I keep forgetting. But if you would send me a link to the battery grip, or I could probably Google it. I didn't even know they made it. Who makes it? Because yeah, if it would extend the battery time to where I could record. I know you can only record for 30 minutes and you have to hit the button again, but if I wouldn't have to change out the battery so often, that'd be fantastic. And Carlos, I think you and I are the only two people left on Earth. Actually, there's a lady in Denmark or something that uses an M6, but there's not very many of us. And I think it's a wonderful camera. So anyway, That's going to wrap it up for this week, and I will see you guys next week. I appreciate all of you guys coming in. John, you weren't here very long, but thank you so much for coming in. Peter, Carlos, Subcultured Outcast, do you want us to call you by a name? Because we will call you Subcultured Outcast if that's what you'd like, or we can use your name if you'd prefer. But I will look into the small rig about a light, because small rig makes good products. So anyway, guys, love y'all. Y'all have a great week, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.